Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Hindu Physicians International. We are welcoming you to our monthly Distinguished Hindu Physician Lecture Series. Today is Saturday, November 22nd, 2025. It is 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 8:30 p.m. in India. Our distinguished speaker today is Dr. Sarita Patel, and she will be speaking on harnessing the power of your mental well-being with Sudarshan Kriya Yoga. Before I go on to the speaker, I'll introduce the HPI a little bit. We are a faith-based charity by physicians of dharmic origin to serve the entire humanity. The HPI has a self-governing board of directors with 5 members. We are a non-profit organization registered in the state of New York. If you go on our website, there is a 4-page long concept note why we started it. I'm not going to start preaching on Sanatan Dharma, but Sanatan Dharma is unique in believing in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Manava Seva, Madhava Seva, and Tattvam Asi. Hindus accept the divinity of all living beings, human or otherwise, and don't indulge in othering of humanity by dividing people among believers and non-believers. And that is what distinguishes us from rest of the society, that we believe in the divinity of everyone. We do know that even among physicians, there are multitude of faith-based medical charities that provide disaster relief and humanitarian services based on their set of ideals and objectives. We found that Hindu organizations were glaring by their absence in that area. Hindu civilization is now on the path of resurgence after 1,000 years of religious, social, political bondage, and there's no better time than now for Hindus to unitedly set up a faith-based charitable organization with dharmic foundations and Hinduism-centered approach for purpose of providing selfless seva to humanity. So this is our board of directors. Some of members of board of directors are present in this meeting. Our international advisory board has Mata Brahmanandamayi, who in her previous life before sannyasa was Dr. Kumuda Reddy, a board certified US-based physician and anesthesiologist. We had Professor T.D. Dogra, a former director of AIMS, on our international advisory board. Members of International Advisory Board are chosen for their eminence in the medical field. They don't have any direct responsibility. Their role is advisory. We also have now an executive committee. We are building up our executive committee. So Dr. Srinivas Aragola is the honorary director of Young Physician Section. Dr. Shivam Dubey is honorary director of Sanatan Education, and Dr. Siva Kumaran Raman is honorary director of Community Seva Projects. We are always looking for physicians volunteers for taking other responsibilities in this organization. If you are interested, please join us. What are our objectives? We provide community service or seva activities worldwide. We strive to develop rapid response medical teams. We strive to provide humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, which is called HADR. We promote prevention research, access to treatment for common illnesses, assist in availability of clean water, and prevent environmental degradation and do cleanup. Our membership is free. There's a form, there's a Google form on our website which you can fill up to become a member. No charges. This is a community seva project form. If you have a community seva project, you just actually get certification from HPI. Talking about community seva project, right now we have a small community seva project in Cleveland, Ohio. We are doing a fundraising drive for Thanksgiving through our organization, and whatever little money we connect by donations and things like that, we will be providing to the Greater Cleveland Food Bank prior to Thanksgiving. The links are there on our website. You can pay by PayPal or you can send a check to us individually or to our PO box address. We are a 501c3 organization under Internal Revenue Service. So we come to the lecture, and some of you saw this flyer on our LinkedIn profile, our LinkedIn page, Harnessing the Power of Your Mental Well-Being with Sudarshan Kriya. And of course, you see Dr. Sarita Patel. This is her picture from her LinkedIn profile. She's our distinguished speaker for today. She's palliative care service and clinical coordinator at Department of Medicine at Kingsbrook Jewish Medical Center. And this is a bio which I got from the LinkedIn. So this bio is in her own words, and I'm going to quote. She writes, "It is during these 10 years from 1996 to 2005 of directing a large outpatient practice in South Bronx and close encounters with illness-related human suffering, quote unquote, I realized my true potential of being useful to or to palliate people around me, guided by the pain felt and a true need specifically for patients with complex advanced terminal illnesses. Then was my decision to get fellowship training in palliative care, now a rewarding experience." And she writes, "I'm a certified yoga instructor for the last 20 years and have been practicing and teaching yoga, powerful breathing techniques, and meditation." So she is working with Art of Living organization, and she's a co-founder of a program called Living Well Self-Care Program for Healthcare Professionals, incorporating evidence-based, effective, and easy-to-learn mind-body resilience tools, techniques, and training. The program addresses the healthcare professionals' burnout.
Hindu physician the local talk rakel.
So our mantra at HPI is
virtual talk rakel.
Sharira Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. So if you are a physician, if you are helping the humanity, your first duty is towards your own body. Sharira Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam, and Dr. Sarita Patel will tell us how to actually take care of our own body and mind as physicians. And just this focus, HPI's focus is on seva. And if any of you want to donate and support HPI, please go to our website, click on our PayPal link, or mail a check to our address. We are tax exempt under IRS section 501c3. Without further ado, it's my honor and privilege to hand over the platform to Dr. Sarita Patel. Ma'am, please start your presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Atinji. And it is needless to say, and I speak for all of us, all the physicians, how much we suffered during the era of AIDS and HIV 93, 94, 95, that time when I was a resident, and also very recently during COVID time. So it is really very, very important for all of us to not just devote ourselves to taking care of our patients and community, but equally important, I would say, if not more, to also take care of ourselves. And of course, we all try to eat healthy and get enough rest, which is never enough. There are also some of the very time-tested ancient yoga, breathing, meditation techniques that would help us keep ourselves sane, and not just sane, also derive energy and make ourselves more useful. So thank you, Vikaji, for pulling this up. I would start right from saying what is sky. So if you could just bring me to this objective slide. Is there an objective slide here? No? That's okay. No worries. So our objectives here is we are going to be talking about what is sky. I know Dr. Aditya mentioned that Also, if time allows, we would learn a breathing technique, maybe go through a guided meditation, and most importantly, I will share with you the science and the research behind the sky breathing process, the technique. So, if you could go back to the second slide. Yes, here. So sky is a rhythmic breathing based meditation technique. And it was, sorry, every time I raise my hand, it also shows on the Zoom. But it's a breathing technique which is cognized, designed, formulated, created by Sri Ravi Shankar. And some of you already probably know him. He is the founder of Art of Living Foundation. So AOLF, in other words, Art of Living Foundation, and a subdivision of that, which is called Healing Breath Program, utilizes the sky breathing practice as our hallmark signature technique. But know that sky is not just offered in its pure form, it is always preceded. It is given with some related pranayams and breathing processes, one of which we're going to learn here today. We will all experience that together. And once people have completed this 7 to 10 year program, learning the sky and the related practices, they actually can take this whole process home like a little 25-30 minute capsule and incorporate that into their daily well-being regimen, whatever that is that we do. Some of us do yoga, some of us do yoga breathing together, some of us do yoga breathing meditation and all other things together. So it could be a very beautiful process that can be added. So next slide, please. So I already spoke that there are different pranayams, sky, guided meditation, some gentle yoga postures. We also, very specific element of this program is also cognitive reframing skills, how to handle our minds. You know, we talked about our ancient seekers, our Rishi Munis have given us such amazing wisdom, putting it into modern context. That is what this cognitive reframing skills are. So this whole thing put together constitutes the healing breath program, and sky is the main technique out of that. Next one. So I think before I start talking about the science and the research related to sky and related practices, I'd like to see, and I know most of us are off the camera, but please, you could also write it in the chat. How many of us know Anulom Vilom Pranayam, or also called in simple words, alternate nostril breathing? Should we just take few minutes to learn that? What do you say? Dipali, you raised your hand. You know Anulom Vilom Pranayam, yes?
Yes.
Sure.
Just to say that there is so much, there's actually a pretty good substantial evidence on the influence of unilateral alternate nostril breathing and bilateral alternate nostril breathing, how it influences our nervous system and our well-being. So we all know that any pulmonologist in the group, I really like to see everyone's face. So please come on the camera if possible. Yes, we would be happy to see you. Thank you, Dipali. So what? Lovely. Thank you, everyone who are coming. Yeah. If any pulmonologist in the group, they would know there is a natural nasal cycle. And nasal cycle means throughout the 24-hour day, our nostrils take alternately turn to be predominant. Like, of course, at times we use only one nostril or predominantly one nostril or both equally. But that cycle keeps changing. And this is just a very natural process. Whatever ancient seekers have found that breathing through right nostril activates the left brain, and breathing through exclusively left nostril activates the right brain. And we all know as physicians, the right and the left hemispheres of our brain have very specific functions. They control, so the flight, fight, adrenaline response, activity, all of that is left brain function. Yeah, constantly like just focused, concentration, working, fixing. And relaxation, sleep, enjoying the music, giving a rest to our digestive system, all of that is the right brain function. So the Anulom Vilom Pranayam brings both the activities of the brain in one equilibrium. As we see, most of the people throughout the day are going through left brain activity. Isn't that true? Yes, sometimes we see that. So bringing both activities, both brain activities into equilibrium, the alternate nostril breathing is like the best pranayam that some of us know or we are going to learn. So how we are going to do is, for any breathing technique, it goes without saying, by default, you sit with the spine erect. Our yogis always sit like that, spine erect. From all the way from the occiput to the coccyx, we are in straight alignment. Even if you're sitting on a chair, come to the edge of the chair, sit straight. The left hand is in what is called chin mudra. You see my finger, index finger and the thumb touching each other very gently as if you're rolling a hair between, and you allow your left hand in the chin mudra to place on your lap. Palm is facing towards the sky. The left hand, the way we want to use is right thumb on the right nostril. The middle two fingers are in front of the point between the eyebrows, our Agna chakra, and the last two fingers are on the left nostril. So we take a deep breath in, press the right nostril with right thumb, and breathe out through the left. Now press, block the left nostril, release the thumb, and breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right, open the left, breathe out through the left, and alternately keep breathing, taking deep, long breaths at your own pace. Just experience what happens. Hold attention on to the breath. Using your thumbs and last two fingers alternately to release and clamp the nostrils. So keep breathing, using the nostrils alternately, allowing both hemispheres of the brain to come into a balance, both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system, bringing them in balance. Continue. Eyes closed if you feel more comfortable doing that. You can relax your hands. Just be with your own experience. Notice what's happening. And when you feel ready, slowly and gradually, you can open your eyes. Yeah. Just a few seconds, not even minutes of deep breaths with full awareness really brings our mind back to the center. So the most beautiful thing about the breath, which is what we are born with, we don't have to go to a supermarket to buy it. The most beautiful thing about the breath is it is a link between your body and the mind. Like a flight flying in the sky, the kite could be our mind, the string is our breath, and the ball on which the thread is rolled is our body. The more you play with the thread, you can manipulate the kite. Yes, that is the role of the breathing technique. And in Sky program, we learn different kinds of pranayams and breathing techniques, one of which is alternate nostril, other one is Sky, which is a very unique, long, rhythmic breathing practice. And there are other processes associated with it. Yeah, so just Even if you're driving, you're stuck in a parking, in a traffic, with your eyes open, of course, rolling the window a little bit, a few breaths, deep breaths or alternate nostril breaths would really bring you back to the center. It's a beautiful breath. So just an example, yeah? So we would jump now on to the real presentation for which Dr. Aditya suggested that I come. So yes. This is a quote from Sri Ravi Shankar, the founder of Art of Living Foundation. He says, in science, knowledge comes first, and in spirituality, the faith comes first. And what does he mean by that? So in Eastern philosophy, science, the objective knowledge is given equal respect to the spirituality or the subjective inquiry. We all know that. And both go hand in hand, and they are not separate. They are actually complementary. In Western, particularly in medical world, to some extent, the objectifying, the evidence, the proof takes precedence over the subjective experience. In science, one investigates, finds validation using the external tools such as tests. And the example would be antibiotics. Vaccines are developed, they are tested on the smaller group, then bigger population, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 clinical trials, and then approved for use. We all know that. In spirituality, what happens? One has the faith. I trusted my teacher. I learned this technique, and now the experience is dawning in me. Yes. So allowing, and Sri always says that in the end, both are important, the ethereal and the practical aspect. So with that, keeping that in mind, we move forward and go over the left brain evidence believing mind of our own. We attend to that inquiry, yeah, scientifically. Some of you may have heard or read this book, Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art, written by James Nestor. It was a few years ago, one of the bestseller on New York Times. So it talks about sky as the most powerful breathing technique. Now, just in short, James Nestor for almost 2 months tried different kinds of breathing practices, including even for 1 week clamping his full nostril day and night and breathing through the mouth. So he has tried every possible breathing technique that's available. He learned and he found sky to be the most powerful. That's why I'm mentioning this. Next slide, please. So 155 countries, this program is offered and taught, and 30 million people have graduated Sky program. And in last 43 years, Sri has been traveling the globe and sharing this wisdom. Some people like me want scientific evidence. So there are almost 100 plus independent peer-reviewed journal published articles, and that you can find on aol.research.org. I have, for the ease of sharing with you all, I have divided all those 100 studies into 6 different categories. And based on that, and using 1 or 2 samples out of each category, I will make my point as to how and to what extent sky has affected some of the physical and, more importantly, mental, emotional illnesses, and how it has really moved people towards more optimism, more well-being. And again, it goes without saying that this is not just a magic capsule that you get it and done. It is something that is taught, and one has to practice regularly, consistently, and for a long time. You know how Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Patanjali says, Nirantar, Dirghakal Abhyas. Yeah, for a long, long time, we have to keep practicing to get the benefit of it. So, next slide. Yes. So the first category is the reduced stress activity. And there are a number of studies which you will find on the Art of Living website, which demonstrates that there is some or the other form of reduced stress activity by practicing sky. Even 1 to 2 months, the shortest duration that one has practiced sky and gotten these benefits is 4 to 6 weeks. And of course, the long-time practitioners are benefited, obviously. So significant reduction in the major stress hormone, as we all know, cortisol, significant reduction in the blood lactate level, which also indicates the stress levels in the body. And then, of course, MDA, the plasma malondihydrate. So there are studies. And if we move on to the next slide, I think there's a cartoon. Yes, this one. So it says that, you can see in the chart, the sky significantly decreases cortisol levels just in a span of 6 months of sky intervention. So in the control group, no such significant reduction was observed, but in the sky practitioners, 40% reduction in the serum cortisol level. And it parallels the serum cortisol levels as it decreases, less inflammation, less anxiety, less of those sympathetic overdrive, and people really learned how to relax, how to be more relaxed and less stressed. So this was one study. Next one, and it's quite an old study, 2011. This is the second category of better mental and emotional health. And as you can see, multiple citations are there. These are the sample studies. There are many, many more in addition to this. Some studies have found a significant relief from depression and only mild to moderate depression, because it was very hard for the study investigators to enroll people who are going through major depressive disorders, even suicidal ideation, because they can't even come to learn the technique, let alone practicing it for a few weeks. So the studies are done on mild to moderates. AIMS in India, All India Medical Institute, has tried doing some studies on the major depressive disorder for inpatients, and there is some data on that also. Significant relief from anxiety, generalized anxiety, and also like just intermittent, every now and then happening nervousness, anxiety. Post-traumatic stress disorder, two very significant studies are done in US on Iraq and Afghanistan return young veterans, demonstrating that just a short span of 1 month of practice, these young veterans were benefited, who were suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and they were taken off of the antidepressant, antipsychotic, and anxiolytics. And these are young patients whose sexual life was like mainly affected because of too many drugs. And their sense of well-being and interest in life was demonstrated to be like going really high after doing these practices. Fourth category here is significant increase in the optimism and well-being. So there are some validated tools and survey they used to measure the optimism and well-being. Very old data is also available on addiction, smoking, alcohol, those kind of things are there. So the next slide, SKY significantly reduces clinical and non-clinical depression. In olden days, we used to call this non-clinical depression as dysthymia. As the slide shows you, significantly reducing major depressive disorder. This is one of the rare studies that we are talking about, where the major depressive disorder people were included, and they had equal effect as a standard antidepressant therapy would have. So isn't a holistic integrative method like breathing better than the pharmacotherapy? So it really raises a big question for investigators who are interested in studying more, and also the insurance companies. What is that they would want to pay for? Antidepressants versus something so holistic and natural. Next slide, please. Yeah, this talks about the clinical and non-clinical anxiety. Again, as this slide indicates, and I leave it for you to also read. I know it's a busy slide, but me talking too much, the numbers here indicate 73% of the individuals suffering from GAD who were not helped by the traditional methods of allopathic treatment, they responded to this. So again, amazing. Goes to the same point that I made earlier. Next one, please. Yeah. So this is the post-traumatic stress disorder. I was one of the teachers teaching these young veterans, and this was a multi-center study done here. Inclusion criteria is where anybody who is 18 plus hours, and they had to be part of the Operation Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. Exclusion criteria, of course, the substance dependence, psychosis, alpha and beta blocker dependency. Some people who had suffered severe TBI, they were excluded. Two groups were there. Active group, it's a small sample study, but really this can be reproduced if somebody is interested, and it was done very recently again. Two groups, active group and wait list, which served as a control group. And average age in this group was 28 years of age. Anywhere between 22 to 45 years of veterans were participating. Ethnicity, of course, most of them 90% European American, 10% were Asian American. And the longitudinal design study, it was followed. Time 1 was 1 week pre-intervention, time 2, 1 week post-intervention, time 3, 1 month, and time 4, 1 year post-intervention. And they used the validated questionnaire along with psychophysiology and neuropsychology testing. So this was a study done in a very meticulous way, and they followed the subjects all the way 1 year post intervention. And what did they find? One very interesting thing about this study is many veterans fell off of their compliance, meaning they were not practicing 4 days in a week was considered as a compliancy, but several of them fell off the study and they did not practice. They came like intermittently, irregularly, but at the end of 1 year, even they had such their parameters when measured, their questionnaires when seen, they still had the long sustaining beneficial effect. So it says that yes, you have to practice every day, but if you have practiced it consistently for few months, then the effects are very long lasting. So this was a very interesting finding in this study. Next one, please. Thank you. This is again a study on impact of sky on the well-being of healthcare professionals who were dealing with COVID, dealing with the patients during COVID pandemic. So it showed that, and I don't know much about this study, I must confess that, but this was a study done by some of my colleague teachers, and Dr. Somya Rakhani is part of that, and she's the one who shared this slide with me. So they measured the well-being of the healthcare professionals during COVID-19 pandemic. And again, 100 MDs were included in this, and what they found was like really amazing. I think it says in the next slide. Please give me the next slide. Yes, this is the one. So as you can see, the study design, the sample size 100 doctors, and the parameters that they checked, assessed, measured were stress, anxiety, depression, sleep quality, resilience, and satisfaction to life, so about their achievement in life. And the impact of sky among healthcare professionals here, as you can see, the 3 parameters measured, the stress, anxiety, and depression. Post 40-day intervention, it was reduced, and the sleep, the amount of time they spent in the deep wave sleep was much improved, their resilience was much improved, and their life satisfaction scores were much improved. So this is again a very good study saying that even in the most critical, stressful time, people kept themselves grounded and centered using some of the holistic measures. Next one. Yeah, the association of sky with happiness. This was again a study from Singapore. The frequent participation was in this study. The more frequently you came for follow-up, the supervised follow-up by an instructor or certified teacher was associated with greater sense of centeredness and happiness. So again, goes for saying that consistent regular practice is important to maintain that beneficial effect. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah. So another yet study alleviating work exhaustion and improving professional fulfillment. And this came out in the Frontiers in Psychology very recently. When I say recently, excuse me, 2022, mid and summertime in 2022. And really, this was also the COVID time study, effect of sky on. We all went through extreme exhaustion. At least I speak through my personal experience. We were all called upon in the emergency room, attending to patients, families, contacts, surveying, taking care of them. So all of that exhaustion, and this study measured that. Next slide. So out of those few categories in the beginning I mentioned, the third category was Sky also showed improvement or enhanced brain function. And here are some of the other sample studies listed. Increased EEG beta waves, increased EEG alpha waves. And I will tell you, I'll talk a little bit more about this, what it means. The beta waves, as we know, if the neurologists are in the group, we know that beta waves predominance in the EEG finding indicates that a person is going through an extreme mental activity, focused, concentrated on some project. That's when you measure a lot of beta activities, as opposed to alpha activity, which indicates that you're just resting, not sleeping, but just resting, maybe enjoying the music, maybe just like relaxed. Yeah. But simultaneous existence of both alpha and beta activities really indicate that, and it's a very rare state. Just imagine our own experience. If I'm working on some project, I'm like so tense, my body is like very alert, and I'm looking at the working on my project, so I'm not relaxed. As opposed to when I'm relaxed, I'm not very focused. But coexistence of both this state, relaxed and yet fully focused, that is what happens with sky. That is what happens with alternate nostril breathing. That is what happens with another breathing technique called ujjayi breath. And of course, many of us may be aware of that, the ocean or the sound breath. Yeah. So those are the studies done. Accelerated neuronal processing of the sensory information. One study found that. One study found that there is increased prolactin. One study found, and when I say one study, there may be more, but just those are the samples I chose as a citation here. And that normalization of the EEG sleep pattern, that is another study. So you could check out this citation if you want to read more details about it. But I'm very impressed with this. Next slide, please. There are some like colored cartoons, yes. So the abstracts are available on aolresearch.org. The EEG results, AOL teachers versus controls were included in this. There is significant increase in the beta activity in the left frontal occipital midline region. AOL teachers had that, and the controls were compared with that. So the conclusion was increased beta activity on the regular practice of sky and related practices, along with existing alpha activity. The next slide would say that the EEG measured electrical brain activity. In this study, sky practitioners also demonstrated increased alpha wave than control, which is indicative of relaxation. So in other words, the heightened alertness or alertful relaxation, whatever word we want to give it, that is the state the sky practitioners were in. The next slide summarizes that increased alpha activity in both hemispheres and persistence of beta activity that happened in the teachers or the long-time sky practitioners. Next slide. Again, I was one of the investigators on this study. This is a study done in multi-center Children's National Hospitals, and this study was initiated in Washington, D.C., Children's National. And it was a 2-year study measuring the 3 essential components of burnout syndrome. And we all know that emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and personal accomplishment. And it was the 3 components were measured both pre and post sky intervention. So Dr. Hemant Sharma, who's the chief of allergy immunology at Children's National, he's also the co-director of their wellness chapter. They did this study, and we were invited to teach the sky to their willing participants, willing healthcare professionals, mostly doctors. And all of them showed results that indicated improved anxiety, depression, well-being scores. People actually felt their sense of achievement increased, their sense of exhaustion decreased. So again, it is more or less saying the same thing that the prior studies also said. Next slide. This is again one of its own kind study done by Yale. So the researchers at Yale Child Study Center and Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, they conducted this study which tested three skill building training programs. And the three, actually there were four groups. One was meditation-based stress reduction group, second was emotional intelligence group, third was Sky group, and the fourth one was the control, people waiting to get into any of this. So there were four groups compared. This is very young university students, 200 undergraduate subjects for 8 weeks, all total 30 hours, participated in this program, and the measure result against those of a non-interventional control group. So because I do not have too many details on in this slide, too many details on the meditation-based stress reduction and the emotional intelligence group, I'm going to share what the Sky group mainly showed. And you could give me the next slide. So the Sky group, they found that the Sky participants, the Sky program relied on breathing techniques called Sky breath meditation. These youngsters also did yoga postures. They went out to do some seva or service project, meaning social connection was measured, and they participated into number of other college activities, which was reported as again part of social connection. So these are the 6 different areas which showed improvement in these young participants, young subjects. Stress, as you can say, reduced. Depression, reduced. Increase in the mental health, increase in the social connectedness, positive emotions, and mindfulness. So again, there's a video from Yale University on YouTube. You can watch, more details are there. But this is a truly randomized controlled trial of its own kind, which tells us that it is such a good practice for youngsters to offer them and also promote them, inspire them to practice. Next slide. I think we are just going to move a little fast here. And I did mention this earlier. One of the studies, the Sky practitioners spent significantly much more time in the deeper sleep states, state 3 and 4, than the age matched control. So almost 13% of their total sleep time was spent in the slow wave deep rest state. So and again, this is one thing, as an Art of Living certified yoga instructor for last 21 years. This is one thing I have heard again and again and again, and I can say hundreds of anecdotal reports that my sleep has improved. This is one thing I hear again and again. So really very good for not just anxiety, depression, but also, for insomnia. Next slide. Yeah, talks about the same. Next one. Multiple indicators of benefits to immune system. So many years ago, they did studies on HIV positive people where they showed benefits with increased CD4 count, the natural killer cells increased. There's also a study on measuring the antioxidant enzymes, the glutathione, suboxide dismutase, and catalase, and many such other studies are there. And the next slide, probably there's a picture, a cartoon that would indicate, yes, this one, the antioxidants and free radicals. We know what kind of damage the free radicals do, and the antioxidant increase level through simple breathing technique could be such an amazing beneficial practice to incorporate in your daily life. So this is what they found. And we move on to the second category. Next slide. The effect on DNA and gene expressions. The Sky has been shown to affect the body all the way at the level of molecular level, at genetic, at DNA level. The gene expression that supports better antioxidant status was shown to be correlated with sky practice, ongoing sky practice. And the gene expression that helps survival of the white blood cells was shown to be activated by sky. And I will show you, there's a little weird picture if you go to the next slide, which is a little hard to explain, but I would do my best. So the current study was conducted to test the hypothesis that sky and related practices can have rapid effect on gene expression in WBCs, polymorphonuclear cells. So most of the differentially expressed genes in the sky group were distinct, belonging to different gene families. And what do I mean by that? These findings suggested that the beneficial effect of sky on different levels of the physiology may be mediated by molecular events. So, certain genes that help with better response to stress were upregulated. Are you all with me? Yes. And certain genes that play a role in damaging, causing stress response and widespread inflammatory responses were shown to be downregulated. So the sky practitioner, in very simple words, the study, one of its kind, the very first one, demonstrated, and after that, many have reproduced similar results with different outcomes. So the genes that help with better response upregulated, the genes that play roles in damaging or stress response are downregulated, and various disease associated genes such as type 2 diabetes, multiple sclerosis, colorectal cancer, prostate cancer, thyroid, I think, different lymphomas, they all showed decreased expression. So imagine the potential that sky could have. And again, I want to caution the audience here that yoga practice and study of its molecular correlates may be influenced by direct and indirect environmental endogenous factors that can remain unaccounted for. Because these are small sample studies, we don't know too many details. But what we found as a conclusion could be the basis for creating more such studies, and it opens up the door for further investigation. That is what I would think. And if anybody interested, please go ahead. And I wish we physicians also had time along with clinical work to do some uh, research. I'm very interested, but don't have time. Next one, please. Sky and cardiac health, we all know that it reduces heart rate, increases heart rate variability, decreases blood pressure, decreased lipid profile. And I have put one sample study in the next slide, if you go there. And I want to share that recently I taught a program at a menstrual institution in California, and we had the CEO who was at that time recently diagnosed with hypertension, and his blood pressure was so high, not getting controlled even with 2 3 antihypertensives, and they were even working him up for secondary hypertension or pheochromocytoma and things of that nature. But then he was suggested, he brought this program to all his employees, and he himself came sat through the program. It was a 6-day program, 20-hour, quite long. And after the program, 1 month later, I had done a follow-up with the institution, all the participants. And in that program, the CEO shared that he now is on monotherapy and he feels much more relaxed. His sleep is much more better. And the only different thing he did was regular practice of sky. So this is just one anecdotal report, but there are studies showing that the sympathetic response, which increases the blood pressure, heart rate, the respiratory rate, they are all benefited by ongoing long sky practice. That's really just one of the sample studies, but there are many more talking about getting off of the statins, lipid profile was normalized, etc. Next slide. So one of the things, I think in the beginning slide, I showed that the SKY program also has a very important constituent, which is called cognitive reframing skills. The yogic, the ancient Vedic philosophy of applying the wisdom to our daily, so those positive emotions are part of many processes. Those positive what is it called, the cognitive reframing skills evoked a lot of positive emotions in the sky practitioners, and those positive emotions like sense of belongingness, more enthusiastic, more joyful, more peaceful, have more social connectedness, I want to do more seva and things, I'm more grateful, things of that nature. And studies have shown our brain is a very plastic organ. If we are constantly imbibed into positive emotion, it really increases our well-being, and the negative emotion opposite is true. It can even increase the chances of acquiring disease and greater likelihood of death. So again, through the sky and related practices, more positive emotions, and the brain adapts to that. So neuroplasticity. Next slide. This is a good slide out of this whole presentation. If we want to take some message home, it is like we are very lucky. What ancient seekers, the Rishi Munis, knew of our brain and how the mind functions. Fortunately, the modern medical tools can validate those findings by actually measuring these changes, yeah, such as functional MRI. So the meditation induces gray matter plasticity, and not just that, structural changes, increase in the thickness of the gray matter was measured just in a span of 6 weeks of meditation practice in those meditators. So it is amazing that in 2 months, there is structural change. The brain is adapting to the beneficial changes of meditation by increasing the gray matter thickness. Thickening of the cerebral cortex, which is the center for attention and emotional integration, increased the hippocampus, which is our librarian, memory, orientation, self-awareness, compassion center, that was increased. And amygdala, and again, this is one interesting thing we found in our post-traumatic stress disorder study, that their amygdala, which is the almond size, two little organs in our brain, which are associated with fear and anxiety and stress, and they shrink. The size was reduced just in 2 months of meditation practice. So I think it's amazing what meditation, breathing, what our ancient seekers offered us, that wisdom can really do to us. So this is one thing I would want you to remember. Next slide. I think it is the second next slide. So most of the beneficial effects of breathing meditation comes through the parasympathetic drive and parasympathetic drive, that autonomic nervous system balance. That is the ultimate mechanism through which we are getting benefited. Again, next slide. I think it talks about the same. Please go to the next one. The summary slide. The sky is associated with deep sleep, sense of well-being, less depression, less stress. Next slide. Again, part of the summary slide, increase in the immune cell count, decreased anxiety, and increase in the life satisfaction. So these are all the major areas where sky has made a difference. And you can take me to the last slide. Go to the last slide. Yes. And I have heard this again and again from my nurses and social workers and medical students and residents and fellows that, oh, I want to learn how to relax, doctor, but I want I want to do it very fast. We live in a world where we want to even learn the sense of relaxation very fast, in a very so this is just for us to smile that, but it is possible. We have briefed the Sky program to almost 7.5 hours instead of 21 hours now. So we can still learn a few minutes of breathing techniques, incorporate that into your lifestyle, and you will see the benefit. These are amazing time-tested ancient tools, I would say. Yeah. So I think the last 5 minutes, if we have any question, I would take that. If not, I think we should end with right brain activity like close your eyes and just relaxed through a guided meditation, if I'm permitted to do that, Dr. Adit?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, so let's just sit wherever we are. Sit comfortably, eyes closed, and really, the minute you close your eyes, your whole attention goes within. Half of the world you get cut off, and the brain tends to just relax. Just bring your awareness within. Become aware of your environment. If you're sitting in an environment with some noise, sound, some melody, music, just become aware of those sounds. And take a deep breath in. Really allow your lungs to get filled with balloons filled with air. Lower lobes, middle portions, upper lobes. Keep breathing until you can't, and then slowly, gradually exhale. Continue to breathe deeply, smoothly, at your own pace. And as you're breathing in and out, you now want to bring your awareness to your physical body. Notice any physical sensations, pleasant, unpleasant. Just agree to be a witness to whatever is happening. Allow your whole weight, your whole body weight to be placed on the seat you're sitting. Sink into the seat. Bring your awareness to your feet. If you're sitting on a chair, place both your soles on the ground. Bring your awareness to the knees. Bring your attention to the thighs. Are you holding them tight? With the next breath out, relax your quadriceps, hamstrings, buttocks. Now bring your awareness to the base of the spine, the very first chakra, energy center. With the next breath in, bring your awareness slightly above the base of the spine, behind the genitals. Bring the awareness to the navel, Manipur chakra. Bring your awareness to the center of the chest, heart center. Right shoulder and the arm. Left shoulder and the arm. Place both your hands on your lap, palms are facing towards the sky. Very relaxed position. Now bring your awareness to the throat region. To the point in between the eyebrows. And top of the head, the crown of the head. Once again, take a deep breath in with a smile on your face, relaxing all the facial muscles. Now become aware of your mind. Any thoughts, good thoughts, not such good thoughts, Doesn't matter. Simply becoming aware of the thoughts in your mind. Our thoughts are like passing clouds. They come and they go. We are not our thoughts. Become aware of your feelings and emotions, even more subtle than thoughts. Take a deep breath in and let go. Now you're in harmony with your environment, with your physical body, with your mind. Om Sato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You are peace. You are joy. You are love. You're made up of a substance called love, Ananda. Take a deep breath in. Let go of all the efforts of the body and the mind and just to be. Once again, take a breath in. Become aware of your body and the surroundings. And when you feel ready, slowly and gradually come back. And at your own pace, taking your own time, you can open your eyes. How was it?
What a wonderful experience. The evidence-based lecture and a brief experience of meditation, inducing calmness and tranquility. We are very thankful to you, Dr. Sari Patel, for taking time off and coming to our group. We have kind of exceeded time, but I know that one of our board members, Dr. Rakesh Sharma, did have a question, so I would let him ask his question. Kindly unmute yourself, Rakesh ji.
Yeah, please.
First of all, thank you very much for the great lecture on yoga. Although I have a lot of interest, but never paid attention to yoga in my life, is something that I miss.